behalf of Educational Initiatives and Duke Tip USA, I welcome you all here today. Joining us today from Educational Initiatives, our spokesperson will be Mr. Sridhar Rajagopalan. He's the Managing Director of Educational Initiatives. And all the way from United States, here today with us is Ms. Mara Shargot, who is the Director of International Programs at Duke Tip. I welcome you both on the stage.
Good afternoon to all of you, and thanks for joining us today. We are happy that today we are going to actually make an important announcement expanding the Duke Tip program that has already been running successfully in India for the last 5-6 years. And I'm just going to tell you a bit about the philosophy, why we do it, what the program is, and what the announcement is. And Mara will also be sharing about the TIP background as well as the American background, what has happened in the past, on the basis of which the program here has been developed. So, we all know this, whether as parents or teachers, that every child is unique, every child has unique strengths and weaknesses, and also that each child is talented and learns best when taught in a way that matches the child's talents, abilities, pace, and so on. I think this neither researchers nor teachers nor parents would disagree with. So this is a point on which we all understand. However, the question is, and that is what this program tries to do, is what kind of programs do we have today that are really talking about supporting and encouraging the bright children, the gifted children, the best among the children in a particular age group or a peer group. And in this respect, if you really think about it, you will find that at most we have awards. Maybe we have institutions where such people are selected and they go. But do we really have programs that detect this and then nurture it in a systematic way? That is the gap that a program like this seeks to fill. Now, when we say this, a very common response that is often got to this is that, can we really afford, as a society, we have scarce resources? Can we really afford to expend these resources on the gifted children or the best minds? Should we not better use it, with the people who are more in need, the children who are weak, those who need remedial support? And the thinking, the reason behind saying this is that the best can take care of themselves. These students don't need help. If someone needs help, it is the children who are weak. And this is not true for two reasons. One reason, of course, is that even the best, if they are nurtured and supported, that is when they can really flower. They too need, and we'll share examples of it. But second and more important, and kind of important in a societal context, in the context of should society be spending its resources on this, is that if we are able to identify and nurture the best minds, then it is found, and I'll share a few examples, that this is rewarding and beneficial for society as a whole also. If we want to build a society which is innovative, and in that sense which therefore is improving standards of living for everybody, we can do that. One of the parts of doing that has to be on nurturing and focusing on the best minds. Two examples I'm going to give you. One is, many reports that have shared that IIT alumni, which is actually not a very large number if you see across the country today, but IIT alumni have contributed 20 lakh crores to the economy. And this is looking at Indian economy. If you look at their contributions around the world, it is so much more. So focusing on a group of bright students, that was one example. A second example that we may not be so aware of is a program in Singapore called the A-Star program. And the Singapore A-Star program is a very interesting and innovative program, and we believe that every country, including countries like India, should have such programs. What it does is, it basically says that if you qualify for the program, first step is that you have to be among the really bright, you have to clear certain exams and tests. And if you qualify for that, the Singapore government basically says that we will then kind of spend on your education whatever and wherever you want to do. And I think the rough budget they have is $1 million per person. So that's a huge amount of money. You can then say that, okay, I will do this course in this country. It's not that you have to do the course in Singapore. The only condition being that after you do that, you have to spend, and it's not a very long period, something like 2 or 3 years, working in Singapore. They have kind of realized, and remember this is not only for Singapore people. So they realize that if you are able to nurture the best, not just identify the best, but then let them flower in the area they want, but then you say that you should work for Singapore for a few years. So this is just one example, probably one of the better examples in the world, where you're systematically nurturing talent and then saying that I want to use this in a way that is beneficial in a larger way. So toward these kind of things, this is a small effort. I will briefly introduce Educational Initiatives, our company, tell you very briefly about the program, and then Mara will tell you about Duke and Duke Tip. Our focus has been on developing assessment skills and skills to identify the talents of children. So ASSET is a test that we do. It is India's largest and most respected diagnostic test. It is done in schools in classes 3 to 10. It's a large test done by about 3.5 lakh children every year in 1,000 schools. We have been doing this for the last 14 years. And the most important thing about this test is that it is not like a school test. It's not a test that simply asks you questions which are in the textbook or at the back of the book, or to remember a definition or to apply a formula, but it actually checks for understanding and your ability to apply these skills. And therefore we find that the children who do well in ASSET are not often exactly the same as the children who are topping the class. And you have both groups. You have some children who are doing very well in the school test, but not necessarily doing so well in ASSET, and vice versa. So this is something that we focus on. Some of the snapshots there are from the pictures of the ASSET paper. We also do this kind of work with governments. There was a large study we had done which was in the India Today magazine in 2006 and covered by some other publications in 2011 looking at quality of learning. There was a program on TV called India's Child Genius, which was identifying the brightest children, where again the inputs were, the entire questions were done by us. And we work with organizations like Google, Wipro, the World Bank, and also many state governments. So for example, with Gujarat, where every single child of the state, we do an assessment. It's actually the government's assessment, but the assessment is done by us, the analysis is done by us, and these are huge. So 60 lakh children, it would definitely be the largest assessments of its kind in the world, simply because you're covering every single child of an Indian state. And this we are doing now in 4 more states, in Bihar, in Haryana, and in some cities. So everything that I'm telling you about ASSET and private schools applies for government schools also, and we hope to bring programs like this for all these children. And just because this is a Bangalore, Karnataka audience, I'm just sharing with you names of, so this is done, in fact Bangalore is one of the cities with the largest participation, it's one of the largest cities for us. So leading schools across the city as well as outside the city in the state are participating, and even across the country, some of the best known schools in the country participate in both these programs, the ASSET program as well as the Duke Tip program. This was about education initiatives and ASSET, and I'll just very briefly tell you about the overall program, which is the Duke Tip program. And I just want to emphasize that this is not just because these days a lot of assessments exist, a lot of workshops exist for children, and this is not just another one. And why do I say it's not just another one? We actually say that this is a unique, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for children. There are 4 or 5 reasons, and I'm just going to quickly run through them. The first is that this is happening with Duke Tip. Duke is one of the top 10 universities in the US, and the Duke Tip program is the largest talent identification program. It is the largest gifted student program in the world and has 35 years experience in doing this, and they have been partnering with this program. We've been doing it for the last 5-6 years in India, and this is getting expanded today. The second reason is that the whole the thrust, the base of this program is to objectively identify the best and the brightest students, and this it's not that the school or the teacher feels that these are my best children. It's not that out of a pool of 100 schools I have selected the best children, but from a very, very large pool of students completely through an objective way of 2 different tests. So what happens is that children in class 7 and 8, they take a test, and if they are in the top 5% of their class, they have to then take another test, which is called an above level test. And this is actually a test of class 9. That means class 7 children take a class 9 test, or class 8 children take a class 10 test. And if they come in the top of that test, then they are given this opportunity to participate. So it's a very exclusive program, but the selection is objective. And that is the third point I wanted to make, that this is not a program that is for any child or every child. It's an exclusive program, but it's an exclusive program based on talent, based on have you qualified to come based on your ability. And the program is designed in such a way that after you are selected, what you are doing is something which is very challenging and meant for children of this kind of capability. And we'll show you an example of that. The summer studies program, which is the 3 weeks that children spend there, is a very rigorous program, but it's an exciting and challenging program. It has faculty from the Duke TIP. In fact, the faculty and the norms for selecting the faculty is exactly the same as the faculty of the Duke TIP program in the US. And lastly, and this is also very important, we are always, in a class you will have children who are very bright, but they are in a class. They are with children who are of average ability and weaker children, and that is also important. But this is probably a unique opportunity where they are going to be in groups of, the whole group is about 150, 180 people, and in smaller groups of 15, 20 people who are all equally bright and equally committed and passionate about the topic as them. And spending 3 weeks with them gives them a unique opportunity to learn in a way that you don't normally get in a regular class. So that is why we say that, based on something which has been tried, this is something which is being offered, and it's something which for the children is expands their horizons and really sets their aspirations at a higher level. I'm going to now request Mara to tell us about the about Duke TIP and that dimension of it.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Mara Shurgat, and I'm the Director of International Programs for the Duke University Talent Identification Program, or Duke TIP. Thank you all for being here this afternoon. Something I said yesterday in Chennai, and I want to say again today, is that I'd like to thank Pankori Nagam for all of her work and involvement in this partnership. It's really been a pleasure to work with her, and she's instrumental in bringing these programs here, so thank you. As mentioned, I work for Duke University. The talent identification, well, a little bit of background. Duke University is located in North Carolina. We're in Durham, which is about 4 hours south of Washington, D.C., and about 5 hours north of Atlanta. The university has about 14,600 students. That's undergraduate and graduate. We're ranked number 7 in the U.S. in terms of top universities. And one of the university's strongest tenets is commitment to knowledge in the service of society. So how can what our faculty do and how can what our students learn and explore benefit society as a whole? And so education and global education is a huge part of that. And we look at that through programming as well as research. So Duke University actually has several different programs and several different research initiatives here in India, and Duke TIP is just one of those. The Talent Identification Program was established at Duke University in 1980. Our neighbors to the north at Johns Hopkins University established their talent search in 1979. So the year before us, a professor named Dr. Julian Stanley, who is a psychologist, was approached by several parents who had academically precocious young boys. So these were parents who were doing extraordinarily well in math, and their instructors didn't know what to do with them. And so they came to him at the university and they said, what do we do with these kids? They're already moving through all the material at school. We don't know how bright they are. We just know that they're extremely frustrated in class because there's nothing that interests them. So he was trying to think of a way to assess how smart were these kids. And what he decided to do was offer them the SAT or the ACT, which is in the US is the college entrance exam. And so remember, these are kids who are 12 and 13 years old. And he found that these particular students did extraordinarily well on the SAT and the ACT. And it was kind of a paradigm-shifting realization or recognition. So he talked to the president at Johns Hopkins, and they talked about making talent identification a national priority. And they decided that Johns Hopkins should take the lead in the Northeast. The provost at the time of Duke University was good friends with Dr. Stanley and came down and said, you know what, Duke's got to do the same thing in the Southeast. So in 1980, Duke University started the talent identification, focused on 16 states in the Southeast. And so they kind of decided universities really need to step up and take the lead in identifying talent at a national level. The provost and the president supported this initiative, and there was an initial endowment of $10 million that started Duke TIP back in 1980. So we were extremely fortunate to have the support of the university. If you kind of go back to think about the university's commitment to knowledge in the service of society and commitment to global partnerships, Duke University TIP was very interested in trying to understand if our model, which we've been doing in the US for 35 years, would be successful in another context. And so we talked a lot about where we might want to try working, and we decided that we would work in India. So we actually did a pilot program here in 2008 with a very small number of students at the Indian Institute of Management in Ahmedabad. And that was very successful. And we decided at that point that we wanted to work with a larger number of students. And so going back to that idea of objectively identifying students, as Dr. Stanley did with the SAT and the ACT in the United States, led us to educational initiatives. Working with EI over the past 4 to 5 years has been an extraordinary experience. We're very fortunate and very pleased to be partnering with them. We've talked to educators around the country, and every time we bring up our partnership with EI, everyone has very positive things to say. So thinking about their philosophy in terms of their commitment to education, their commitment to transparency, we see a lot of synergy between what Duke TIP is doing and what EI is doing. We're also extremely pleased to be looking at large-scale assessment. Again, that objectivity is extremely important, and looking at the idea that talent is available everywhere. Talent is not limited by socioeconomic status, and so how can we seek out the best talent around the country? The talent search is the first step in identifying talent. Both the talent search in the United States as well as the talent search here in India offer a range of benefits. The first is recognition. So for a lot of families, if they're told that they have an extraordinarily bright child, they might not be surprised that their child is bright, but they might be surprised at how bright. We hear from a lot of parents that when their children come back from the educational program that we offer, that they had no idea that their children were capable of learning as much as they learned in 3 weeks. So that recognition is key. We offer a range of resources. So in addition to recognition, you have a lot of research that's being done on academically gifted students in terms of their social and emotional well-being, as well as their cognitive development. So research being done on what is the best way to support these students. And then we offer educational programming. We offer independent learning, which is programs that can be done by students anytime, anywhere, through workbooks or computers. We offer online courses, and then we offer face-to-face programs that range from 1 week to 3 weeks. We've been offering our 3-week summer studies program here in India, as I mentioned, since 2008. The 3-week summer studies program is a unique residential opportunity. Students live on a college campus, so for the first time, students might be away from home for 3 weeks. We're very we're very adamant that parents not stay in a hotel nearby or come onto campus every single day to see their kids, which is what a lot of parents want to do. So we're really striving to offer students an independent learning experience. So it's residential. Some students for the first time might be doing laundry, depending on which campus they're on, so that's a learning experience. They're eating in the university dining hall. They have a roommate. They have to clean their rooms. So it's really a challenge in terms of offering them an opportunity to be independent socially, as well as whatever we're doing in the classroom. So it's 3 weeks and it's residential. Students choose one course to study for 3 solid weeks. They're in class 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, plus 3 hours on Saturday, and they're studying one topic that entire time. So some people think, oh, I would rather study 3 topics or 4 topics, but focusing on one topic for 3 weeks allows students a chance to go extraordinarily in-depth into a topic. So typically in 3 weeks, students cover the equivalent of 1 semester of university work. or 1 year of secondary work. It's about 108 hours of attention and focus on one topic. Curriculum varies. We do look at which courses reflect cutting-edge research. So if you're looking at epidemiology, global health, hydrology, pharmaceuticals, biochemistry, nanotechnology, aerospace engineering, where is the research being done that is going to captivate the imagination of students? We offer a lot of courses in STEM, but we also recognize that a lot of students are really interested in humanities, philosophy, art, literature, creative writing. So we offer a range of courses. The courses are taught by expert instructors. So we seek out the best talent in our instructors the same way we seek out the best talent in our students. 90% of our instructors are pursuing a master's or a PhD in their field. These are individuals who can really connect with young people and who recognize that there's asynchronous development, which means that they're children. So a classic example is that at one of our sites, kids had microwave popcorn in a bag, and they wanted to see if it would pop in the dryer. And so they put the microwave popcorn in the dryer and turned it on. So that's a childish thing to do. But at the same time, those kids go back to the classroom each day and talk about the ethics of international law. So it's a pretty remarkable dynamic. So finding adults who really enjoy kids and who really want to work with kids is key, and who also recognize their cognitive potential and who can really challenge them academically. It's a really, as I mentioned, a really accelerated pace in the classroom. And the emphasis is on experiential learning. So doing as much hands-on activity as the students possibly can. So there's not a lot of lecture, there's not a lot of rote memorization, and we don't offer any grades. We do an evaluation of the student's performance at the end of the term, and students can take that evaluation home or they can share it on a college application later, but there's no grade. So the idea is intellectual risk-taking. So it's okay to fail. It's okay to try and create a wild idea and see if it flies. That's part of the process of development.
So I just have 2 or 3 slides more. We are going a little beyond time, so I'll just quickly finish up. So the Duke Tip program has already run in India for 5 to 6 years. We are making 2 important announcements today, which is expanding the scope of this program. The first is that till now, the way to get selected for the summer studies program was to go through the first round of ASSET, which schools do, and then take the above level test. We want to expand this. About 1,000 to 1,500 schools take ASSET every year, and that's a very small portion of the total number of schools that exist. So what we are doing starting this year is allowing all schools to write to us and take the test. So the way we are doing it is at about 600 schools that we have identified from across the country, we are actually writing to ourselves and we are inviting them to participate. However, if there is a parent who is interested or there's a school who is interested which is not in that list of 600, they can actually write to us. They can just go to the Duke Tip website, which is run by us, and they can ask to apply. And what the school has to do is the school has to name up to 25% of the top students in grades 7 and 8. So in this sense, a school can participate and they can send in the students who they think are at the top. However, in order to maintain the rigor and the objectivity, all these students also have to write that above level test. So the first step, the school can directly nominate, but the students still have to take the above level test, in which they compete with the students who have qualified by being at the top 5% of ASSET in grade 7 or 8. So the rigor is not compromised, and you still have to, you cannot, if for example some school says, okay, we know this child and we would like them to do this program, they may not be this thing, maybe we can't control it there, but they will not clear the second test, which is a very high bar that they have to clear. But in this way, like I said, every school gets the opportunity to participate in this test. And the second thing which we are kind of emphasizing, it's a very useful, a very interesting concept that, once a child qualifies for the Duke Tip program, they can actually take it in subsequent years also. And formally, this means also that they actually become eligible to take this program even in the US. So there are a number of programs that are happening in the US, and so a student who qualifies can take the Duke Tip program in the US also. In fact, in America, where there is a greater history of doing this is quite common, and children do this and they take that year on year in the future years also. So these are two ways in which we are expanding this program in terms of reaching out to more people, as well as increasing the opportunities for the students who are selected. And this is the reason we wanted to reach out and speak to the press, because we really say that the more people who know about it, the better it is, and the more that they can come to know of this program. Very quickly, I'll just share the timelines and the test centers, and then we are through with our part. So this is the time in end of August and September when we start reaching out to the schools, actually writing to them formally. We have doing these announcements in all the major cities. And starting from September 1st till the end of October is when students formally enroll, either based on the asset performance or based on the nomination from the schools for schools that do not take asset. On November 30th, 2014 is when the test will happen. This is the above level test. The class 7 children take a class 9 test, and the class 8 children take a class 10 test. And those who qualify from that, these results will be shared in January, February 2015, and the toppers will be invited to the Duke Tip Summer Studies program. The program itself will happen in May 2015 in India. It always happens in the summer. Like I told you, this year it's happening at the Shiv Nadar University near Delhi. And the program in the US is in June, July of the same year. So this is the time schedule, and this is the list of centers. So it's being done in 12 centers, including a center in Dubai, but all over the country. In the coming years, we hope to expand this, have this in many more places. The capacity of the group is 180 students, so 180 students can qualify, and frankly that's a very, very small number for India. We hope that in the years to come this number will expand a lot. About 1% of the top students finally do the summer studies program, and I was just calculating, what is 1% of the top students of class 7 if you take the whole country, and it comes to something like 2.4 lakh students. So, and that's class 7. If I take class 7 and 8, it's almost 5 lakh students. We should be doing a Duke Tip program for 5 lakh students. We are doing it for 180. So we hope that, and that's just like 1% of the brightest students. So that is the mission, and that's the exciting goal that we are working towards. And we would like to welcome you to join in this by sharing this widely with people whom you know and who would be writing about it. And in case there are any questions, Mara and I will be happy to take it and answer them.
Ongoing programs? So are these, so we offer academic programs for students through grade 12. We offer the 3-week programs through grade 10, and then we have 2-week programs through grade 12. So depending on the students and their resources and their interest level, students could attend a program each summer until they graduate secondary school. There's also online programs. We offer a lot of, they're called e-studies. So students can take online programs. They can collaborate with students from the United States, with an instructor from the US. Those courses are offered typically during the academic year, so it can be a little bit of a challenge for students to manage both their school as well as their online course. But we've had, I want to say, close to 25 or 30 students who've been identified through the talent search have joined our online programs over the past couple of years. And the instructors are aware that there are students participating from India, so they work to schedule or structure the live chat sessions to occur at a time when the students can join. So typically those would occur early in the morning or later in the evening when the students are not in school. So there's multiple opportunities for students to continue to participate in learning. We also offer something called the Educational Opportunity Guide. It's called the EOG, and that's available online from our website. And so that's one of the resources that parents can learn about what types of programs exist throughout the U.S. for academically gifted students. As Sridhar said, there's extraordinary opportunity for more programs to enter this space. Identifying talent and really nurturing it is critical. So there's tremendous opportunity to develop more programs in India to specifically serve academic.
There have been students from
from different type of backgrounds. For example, there is a school called Vidyagyan in Uttar Pradesh. Two schools actually run by the Shiv Nadar Foundation. And the Vidyagyan schools are actually schools for the bright students from Uttar Pradesh villages. That means those who are from very poor families, but who are the brightest among them, and they actually go through the program. Similarly, in Bangalore itself, there is a school called Parikrama, run by this lady called Shukla Bose. Parikrama also caters to the poorest children. And some of the children from Parikrama and Vidyagyan have done the Duke Tip program in the past years. Some of them have qualified through the ASSET, some of them have been nominated. But these are children who are extremely bright, but from a very poor socioeconomic background. They obviously received financial assistance. Of course, it's only a few students. I mean, out of 150 or 60 students in the past, maybe there were 3 or 4 students like this. But the idea is that no student should be not able to attend the program because of financial reasons. That is what the financial aid is for, and we do not see a challenge in that score. As soon as parents are filling up the form, one of the questions they are asked is, do you want financial assistance and what are the details of that? And then there's a process that is done to check that. So it's very clear that you should not have a child. I mean, sometimes we have a situation where a child says, I want the genetics course, I got this course, so I will not join. Now it happens because they say no. Some others, we tell them that any course you do, you're going to be interacting with children who are very bright and will do it. But we don't want a situation where a child says, I really wanted to go, but I was not able to afford it, and hence I did not go. I think so far we have managed that. The idea is to provide financial assistance where needed. An asset scholar. So based on the asset carrying search, there will be asset scholars, and in the years to come, we are seeing more and more opportunities because we are actually identifying children who are extremely bright, and we hope that there will be a range of opportunities for these children to both meet and do other courses. But this is an important recognition that is also something that we are formally starting this year. Till this year, we haven't used that. That's also starting.
There's a question immediately arises as to how do we know if these programs work, and how do we know that it's important to support these students? And so these programs started in the US in the early 80s. So children who were 12 and 13 in the early to mid 80s are just now reaching middle age. So they're in their 40s. And so they're just now reaching kind of their stride in terms of their career choices, their professional accomplishments, their achievements. And so a recent study came out in 2013 that looked at, it was a 25-year longitudinal study of students that were identified at age 13 as scoring extremely well on the SAT or the ACT. And it followed up with 320 of those students. And it was asking them about their social and emotional well-being, their adjustment, as well as their career accomplishments. And the results are pretty extraordinary. Of these 320 students, they found that 44% of them had earned a PhD. In the U.S., if you look at census data, about 2% of the general population has a PhD. So you have almost half of these individuals earning a PhD. They had extraordinary accomplishments in terms of creative outputs, in terms of poetry, music, art. They were business thought leaders. They were the CEOs of major companies. They're holding high positions in government. They're lawyers, they're doctors, they're philosophers. So if you nurture young, bright people, the accomplishments are pretty extraordinary. When you look at what that means for society as a whole, it's a pretty valuable investment.
How many assessments were done in the last year globally?
In the U.S., we had about 70,000 students in the 7th grade talent search in the U.S. We have 2 talent searches in the U.S., so we had 100,000 total in the U.S.
And in India, we have about 30,000 students who are writing the test at each grade, 7th and 8th. We had about 6,000 children who qualified to write the above level test. And this year we expect that number to increase a bit. So that's the kind of numbers currently.
Over a period of time, 5 years or 6 years, you have so much of talent pool in your data. What do you do with that after that?
So that's a very good question. It's about 700 students in India who have gone through the talent search, the Duke tip, the talent search and the above level test will be even more, but the people who have actually done the summer studies program is about 700 students. And I mean, I keep saying that this is like, you know, the brightest minds. These are the people who are going to do well in various different walks of life. It may be engineering, it may be architecture, it may be research, it may be creative work. Well, in India, these people are still completing grade 12, beginning college, and so on. So, except for tracking and knowing who these children are, we are not doing anything right now. But I think the moment these children are, say, you know, completing graduation, we have the data, we would be tracking them. But I think the kind of opportunities, the kind of information, like, you know, I think we noticed that I think the Aditya Birla group does something for people who have completed the IIT and the IIM. They call them Aditya Birla scholars and it's a scholarship. But what is happening here is you are identifying them. I remember in my organization where I used to work previously, people used to say that there is no use in giving a scholarship to a person after he has already, you know, achieved and become a great person. But can you do it at a point where he doesn't yet know, or he needs guidance, or he can be supported? And I think we've, you know, 7, 8, 9 subsequently, these are the ages where you are telling the child that, look, if you want to dream big, you can be anything you want. You don't have to just go into a rat race or this or something at this stage. But you're right, I mean, as these students come closer to completing their graduation and so on, I think that the kind of opportunities, the kind of programs that will be there and will become available is going to be even more. You had a question?